Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and their guests. This meeting of online presenters has begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, or alternately, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, you may apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you've not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and your role if you have one. Right-click, select Rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes, and as our VP PR, Andrew, said, like, follow, share, and bring persons to our Facebook page. Also, remember to remain muted when you are not speaking. We have a mixologist in our midst, a man who does inside activities, outside. When was the last time you read a book on a cruise? Well, guess what? He'll explain the joy of doing inside things outside. Help me welcome our president, David Carr.
Thank you, Joni. And it is true that I completely forgot about the eclipse. I got wrapped up in work today and had my eclipse glasses and was all equipped for the eclipse, and yet did not make it there. So I was doing inside things when I should have been outside. My name is David Carr. I led this club to charter back in 2017. One of the reasons I was motivated to do that is that I have an interest in all things online, digital marketing, as well as doing tech demos, one of which I'm going to share with you today. So I hope that's not too tedious that I keep doing tech demos, but it is one of the things that I like to practice in this club. We have online here today some members who have been with us from the beginning or nearly the beginning. I'm thinking of Graham, I'm thinking of Jim, I'm thinking of Marianne, I'm thinking of Sunny, but also new members who've come along and refreshed this club and helped to keep it strong. And I'm so proud of the work that Kim is doing in bringing new members into our club, where we've been doing that at a pretty good clip lately. And actually, let me hand the meeting over now to our Toastmaster of the day, Carolina. Carolina, where do we go from here?
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we are going to talk about fear. Overcoming fear is an important aspect of personal growth and development. Fear is a natural response to perceived threats. However, it can often hinder progress and limit our potential. One effective method to conquer fear is through exposure. Exposure involves facing our fears, gradually desensitizing ourselves to the stimuli that evoke fear. By exposing ourselves to the source of our fear in a controlled and gradual manner, we allow ourselves the opportunity to confront it, understand it, and ultimately diminish its power over us. Each time we confront our fears, we build resilience and confidence, expanding our comfort zones and unlocking new possibilities for growth. Overcoming fear through exposure is not about eradicating fear entirely, but rather learning to manage it effectively. Through this process, we discover our inner strength and resilience, paving the way for a life marked by courage, growth, and fulfillment. And today is a special day because we are going to have new members that are going to be with us in this path of overcoming our fears to public speaking and be better leaders. pass this meeting to our Vice President of Membership,
Thank
Kim
you.
Liming, to welcome Kim.
Thank you, Carolina. You are breaking up. Your signal is not that great unless it's me. Fellow Toastmasters, pass the slide, and honored guests, on behalf of Online Presenters Toastmasters, it is my duty and privileges to induct the following new members into our club: Elena Sandoval and Samuel Irwin. This is an important occasion for both these individuals and for our club. As experienced speakers and Toastmasters, these individuals will enrich us as we strive to enrich them in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Together, we expand our effectiveness as dynamic leaders, presenters, and communicators. New members, please wait until I call on each of you individually to affirm your commitment to the Toastmaster promise. In the presence of fellow online presenters, do you pledge to attend meetings regularly and to prepare for each assignment, to actively participate in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with our fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can gain the benefits of Toastmasters as well? Elena, please unmute and say, I do.
I do.
Yay. Samuel, please unmute and say, I do.
I do.
Yay. To the current members of our club, I need to read this. Remind you of your pledge to support these new members in their quest for self-development, to provide them with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, and to make their Online Presenters Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Congratulations, new members, and welcome to Online Presenters. Attendees, please unmute and give our two new members a big round of applause.
Welcome, everybody. Yay.
Right.
Come on, all of us. 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 Two of us. Two of us.
Okay, I thank you. So, actually, I do want to start a new tradition. New members. Elena first. Can you please take just a quick moment to tell us what Toastmasters means to you and quickly introduce yourself as a new member?
Hi, everyone. Well, for me, Toastmaster has been a great experience because I started 2 years ago, and definitely I evolved in the way I communicate, especially in another language. I started with Portuguese, and now I will experiment with this with English, even though I speak for many times, but spoke for many times. For me, is different when I have to speak directly with a group in English. I hope to improve more my English, gain new friends, and just to learn from you because you have a lot of experience. And the most important for me that I expect for this group is online, is the communication online that could be different, no? And just in a few sessions that I just stayed with you, I learned a lot about the application, the methods. So I think that is very nice for me. It's gonna be a great opportunity to improve my communication in English online.
Great goals. Thank you so much, Elena. We're pleased to have you in the club. And Samuel, if you could give us a quick explanation of what Toastmasters means to you and quickly introduce yourself, that would be great as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Toastmaster means a lot to me, and it goes back to what Madam Toastmaster of the day said about overcoming fear. This is my avenue to overcome fear. It's exposing myself to the members of this club, exposing my weaknesses as a speaker week after week, and just trying to get better. And once again, I'm very impressed by the longevity with some of the members here. And eventually I want to find out what has kept you engaged so long, because I find that quite amazing.
Thank you so much, Samuel. We're very pleased to expose you to the online presenters culture. So back to you, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Kim. Samuel, Elena, we are very happy to have you here to be part of our club. Welcome to our club. For this meeting, I have a team that will be helping me in several aspects that make us better speakers and leaders. And the first role is the timer. Sherry, can you explain us your role, please?
Thank you so much, Carolina. So my role is to time the speakers, table topic speakers, and evaluators, just to make sure that they're speaking within their given time frame. And I will give a report at, I guess, in between each segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sherry. The second role is the accounter. Joni Laidlaw. Joni, can you explain us your role, please?
As the counter, it will be my job today to make sure that we don't use the crutch words, the ums, the uhs, the ers, and with the handy dandy tool, I'll be able to do that by, well, letting us know whenever we've done an ah. Now, if it gets really, really bad, we'll probably freak out. Hopefully we do not get that bad. Watch our ands, our so's, our ums, and especially our buts today. And I will give a report when called upon to do so. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you very much. The third person is our grammarian, Jim Barber.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As the grammarian this evening, I'm going to be listening intently to what everybody says, and I'm going to be listening specifically for really well examples of speaking good. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jim. The watcher is a new member of this club, Samuel. Can you explain us your role, please? You are muted.
Sorry. So as watcher, I'll be focusing on the visual portion of our online meeting space. Irrespective if you're a speaker or not, I will be looking to see how well you present yourself in our online meeting.
Thank you very much. The chat monitor today is Kim Liming. Kim, can you explain us your role?
I can. So as she mentioned, I'm chat monitor for tonight, which is exactly what it says. I will be monitoring the chat. This role is unique to our club as it is an online only club. And so we encourage everybody to make comments in the chat, just not when there's actually a speaker speaking. And then I will make my report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Kim. And I will be your vote counter. I will leave you a link in the chat and you could vote for your favorite prepared speaker, impromptu speaker, or for your favorite evaluator. It's time for my favorite section, prepared speeches. Our first speaker is working in the innovative planning level 3, increasing knowledge using presentation software project. She's going to give her icebreaker using a presentation software. The objective of this project is to understand the best practices for designing engaging and informative visuals, demonstrating the ability to present using a software as a tool. Who is Elena? Let's welcome Elena with a round of applause.
Okay, I'm going to share a little bit. Okay, I'm ready. Hi there. Hi, I am Elena Sandoval. Today, my speech is about me. So let's break the ice. My mother always said, Elena, when you are going to join to a new club, it's important for your new fellows members to know who really you are. Well, I am a bit nomad because I have a constant impulse to explore new places, meet new people. It's like I cannot stay in one spot for a long time. Initially, I thought that I only work to fund all my expenses related with all these adventures and travels. But today I realized that my career is also my passion. To understand better my personality, you must to know how my brain functions, because it's fooled by tricky aspects of my life, my career, the people surround me, and my adventurous spirit. But why adventure? Because I have a deep connection with the natural world. For me, it's like a click that puts all my sense. It's like just only watching a beautiful landscape like this picture, a sense of serenity is coming over me. You know, this is my medicine. I don't need pills. And also I discovered that to combine the connection with the natural world and the adventure, the best way is with outdoor sport. And one of my preferred is the first sailing. I started sailing many years ago. First in a small sailboat, but over the time, I had the necessity to the biggest one. So in 2019, I moved to Rio de Janeiro and I took my first ocean sailing course, this. And this picture was our last lesson in a journey that started from Rio de Janeiro to Angra do Reis. And we sailed during all night. It was amazing. Also, while I was living in Rio de Janeiro, I discovered another water sport, Hawaiian canoe. And you know what? This is the best way to connect with the sea because of the narrow shape of the boat, it's like you are immersed into the ocean. It's incredible. But I forget something. In 2020, I moved to Portugal and I found another canoeing club called Kahuna. We create a great group and embarked on unforgettable excursion along of the coastline of the Lisbon. And you know what? What is the best of this sport is that there are no heroes, because all members of the team must work in a perfect synchronization, has an entire whole. This creates a lot of experience to find good friends and tight relationships. Also, besides, I practiced martial art over a decade until I reached my black belt. Afterward, I left. I saw too many hits. but you know what is the real mindset behind of this sport? The karate is a Japanese martial art that seeks the development of the body movement to connect your soul, your mind, and your body to enhance your capability of the self-defense. Also, the people that embrace this mindset follow principles of respect, discipline, fraternity. And because of that, even though I stayed more than 8 years far away from Venezuela, in December, I returned to my country and we rejoined, and the friendship was intact. Of course, the adventure cannot be complete without riding bicycle and hiking a volcano in Guatemala. Was amazing. Okay, now let's explore this part of my brain, my career. I am engineer, expert in economic assessment for energy projects, consulting for project management, blah, blah, blah. This is not important. The point is that definitely our brain drives our conduct because I am extremely analytical, logical. I need to plan everything. Also, I have the necessity to gain knowledge all the time. So innovation and technology is my preferred activity, are my preferred activities. Now, at the core of it all, people that care most to me, my family and my friends. My family, they are my blood. Their DNA is part of me. I cannot be disconnected from them. And my friends, they will always have a special space on my heart, no matter the distance, because they are my family too. Meet new people and their culture, I love it. But you know what is important for me, people? Because for me, take the right decision, focus on the well-being of the all people must be the fundamental of principle of the all person, like a human being we are. Also, protect and help each other to the extent of our capability is one of my most important values. People, guys, this is me. This is the real Elena. I'm ready to start my new adventure with you in English now, to share with you more time for learning and getting fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena, for your speech. It was very nice to know more about you, and I admire your energy. Nice pictures. The second speaker is the club president of our club and the creator of the RSVPMaker plugin for WordPress. And he's using this speech to practice showing off some of the latest event listing layout effects. Title: Create eye-catching events layout with RSVPMaker and WordPress. Let's welcome David Carr with a round of applause.
Just a moment to adjust. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I want to show off a few ways that you can present events a little bit more dramatically on a website with a large featured image or whatever format featured image you might desire. Whereas in the past, this plugin has presented more of a bare bones event listing. But just to give some variations, we have this one with the calendar grid up top, and this I've had in the product for a while, where you can click ahead to the next month, but we can have the image off to the side and the title and date and a little summary on the right. So that's as compared with the one I was showing you just a moment ago, where it's all up and down. Or we can have 3 columns across. And the nice thing with the way the WordPress program handles these kind of column layouts is if I switch to previewing what this would look like on a mobile device, it automatically reformats down to 1 column. So if there's not room for 3, we just stack the content one on top of the other and display them that way. So a lot of flexibility there. And one that I really built out as an example of how you would feature your next upcoming event, big and bright up front with this nice featured image. We have a button right here. If I don't need to read it anymore, I already know I want to sign up for the event. Well, I'm giving you the opportunity to click RSVP now, put in your information, and pay for the event. Or if we want to scroll down and see a little bit more about why we might want to attend, we can do that and then click on RSVP. Or if that event isn't good for us, we can look at some others. So we can have a grid view down the bottom here. But basically, everything I'm showing you here is new. Now, just to back up a little bit, RSVPMaker is a plugin or extension to WordPress. WordPress is the world's most popular web publishing software. It's used by big businesses, small businesses, and individual bloggers. And this RSVPMaker extension is something I use a lot in my own work. I do consulting for a specialty farm, Swank Specialty Produce, that holds these wonderful gourmet dinner events. I got to attend one recently, and it was a lot of fun. But what's fun for me working on it as a web developer is the farmer comes up with these great images, food photography or event photography, that we can build into the layout. And so I've cloned some of that for my demo. Now, an RSVPMaker event in the editor looks a lot like a blog post. You can add images, you can lay things out using the same techniques you would use for a blog post or a web page. It's just that we have this widget on the side that shows us a date. And if we want to change the date, we can do that over there. Or we can set other parameters, such as a price. If we're collecting money for this, this is a $145 dinner. We can specify that here. So some of these effects that I'm showing for layouts weren't even necessarily my idea. I got an email from somebody asking to do more elaborate layouts, and he could do them with his blog posts. He could do them with other kinds of content. He couldn't do them yet with RSVPMaker. So I had to do a little bit of catching up, actually, where I had previously presented an event listing that was more built around that calendar view. And you could click through the calendar to the individual event, but the actual event listings were kind of bare bones. And a nice thing that's come along in the WordPress editor lately is there's something called the query loop. And the query loop can present content. So the actual query is a database query. It's a lookup of the web posts or whatever it is that you need to present. In my case, it's the event listings. But the query loop content block is giving us a visual tool to work with that and to make changes. So for example, I can look at this template and say, I would like this to be in a multi-column layout instead. And I can change that here, or I can change the components that are embedded inside this. Now, the actual default query loop that you get from WordPress is not quite ideal, actually. So if I add the query loop to this page, this is the default loop. It's going to ask me what layout I want, and I can choose one of these standard layouts. And I'm going to tell it not to inherit from a template because we're embedding this in a post. This is not a template. And I'm going to tell it that I want RSVP events. And this will give me a pretty good version. Actually, I don't like this layout, so I can change that here. And actually, this might look a little bit better. But still, I have a little bit of a problem here because it is showing the date that the event was published actually more prominently than showing the date of the event. And so that might be important for blog posts where you want to see how recent or how current something is. But what I would do to modify this is I can just remove this block here. And I'm also going to remove this whole section here, actually. And I remove the standard excerpt and put in a custom block called the RSVPMaker query loop expert. So that'll give us the date formatted a little bit more neatly. It still gives us a little bit of an excerpt of what's in the post. And then we can add the RSVP now button to every place that this appears. Now, I've actually added a shortcut to this where instead of adding the standard query loop, there is an RSVPMaker query loop that has a number of these options preset. And then from here, I can still decide that, for example, the post template, I want to use either the single post listing, single column listing, or I could change this from 2 to 3. I can make a lot more changes from that point. But the idea here is that you have a lot more flexibility to lay out your website however you want with your RSVPMaker events. And I hope that makes it more useful and drives more registrations at your events. I'm Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, David. It's a very useful tool. Our third speaker is currently working through the presentation mastery path project vocal variety, but this time all his presentations in this path are impromptu. The Toastmaster of the meeting advised the speaker of the theme at the start of the meeting, giving him just a few minutes to prepare a 5 to 7 minute impromptu presentation. The theme was your experience overcoming fear. Let's welcome Cairns with a round of applause.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, when I was a kid, I was fearless. I had, for example, a push bike. Most of us had push bikes as kids. This was commonly referred to as the crapmobile because it wasn't the world's best push bike. It had wheels, and they went round. It had brakes, sort of, and it had a lunatic behind the handlebars, and that was me. I would do things like ride down hills with dodgy brakes, and then suddenly realize as I got down toward the bottom of the hill that there was no way that I was going to stop and that there was traffic was going to be crossing at the bottom, and all that I could do would be to lay the bike down on its side and hope that friction would stop me. I was fearless as a child. Let's cut forward perhaps 10 years from that. It's 1979, 1980. Actually, it would have been 1979. There are certain songs that become so deeply embedded in our psyche that we will never forget them. And for me, one of those songs is Evie. It's a hard-rocking pub rock song, classic Australian rock, in 3 parts. Ran nearly 11 minutes, which is unheard of for a pop song. Started out with a 3-minute really rocking song about a guy meeting a girl. She's 17, she's gorgeous, they fall in love. Then there's probably another 2.5 minutes where what started out as a courtship becomes a marriage. And then she dies in childbirth. The song was a hit at exactly the same time. I'll be quiet. The song was a hit at exactly the same time as my wife was pregnant with our first child. And it terrified me. To this day, it still does. The subject of this speech is overcoming fear, and a time when I did. I have to tell you, as you can probably tell, I still get choked up when I think of that song, because the fear's still there. And that's something that we all have to do. Sometimes we have fears that we can't overcome, we can just deal with. I am not fond of heights. I wouldn't call it a phobia, but I'm not fond of heights. If I am on a balcony, for example, I have to hold on to the balustrade because for some reason, logic tells me I'm not going to fall, but something in my psyche says, yes, you will. Last year, we went to Bangkok and we went to the Mahanakhon building. It's a building that is, well, quite tall. In fact, more than 300 meters tall. And it has a glass walkway. And I walked on that walkway, very gently, I might tell you. And I stayed mostly close to the edge, although I will tell you that there is video that shows me walking through the middle of this glass walkway. Was I fearful still? Yes. Did I overcome that fear of heights? No. But did I deal with it? That's the thing. I suffer from seasickness, and yet I give lectures on cruise ships. Am I afraid that I'm going to get seasick? Well, I'm aware that it can happen. Do I get rid of that fear? No, but I learn to deal with it, even though it is still there. I joined Toastmasters because I could talk to 50,000 people at a time in my career in radio, but stick 50 of those 50,000 in front of me, and my tongue would take on all the characteristics of a killer whale's fluke. It'd flop around in the mouth. So I joined to get over that fear. Did I ever get over that fear? Well, let me tell you, in just under 3 weeks, I'll be speaking at the district humorous speech contest, and I will be nervous. Will I have got rid of that fear? No. But will I be able to deal with it? Yes. I ran for some time a small business doing voiceovers and explainer videos and things like that. I was hanging my shingle out there with no experience, with no backing, with just me. Was I afraid? Yes, I was. Did I do it anyway? Yes, I did. I'm going back to that song, which, as you remember, as you noted, started to break me up. I've reached the point in my life where I am no longer afraid to show that I can be a wimp. I'm no longer to be afraid of being sentimental. I'm no longer afraid that a man doesn't cry, and so I'm not going to. Am I afraid to expose myself? Yes. Have I got over that fear? No. But am I dealing with it? Well, I certainly hope so. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Ram. Do it anyway, do it with fear. Great message. Miss Timer, can you give me your report about the speakers?
You were breaking up, but you said Miss Timer? You want
Yes.
Okay, you were breaking up a little bit. Okay, so Elena, 7 minutes and 46 seconds. David, 7 minutes and 48 seconds. And Graham, 6 minutes and 29 seconds.
Is everyone qualified to be voted for best?
I think
Best
Graham just
speaker?
won. Yay, Graham. I'm afraid so.
Time management is a very important skill in leaders. Pay attention to that. Let's go to our next section where everyone has the opportunity to speak. And the topics master today is Teresa Sábado. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Carolina. So I am excited to riff on this topic of fear. But I also want to start off by reminding us that table topics is a Toastmaster skill that sharpens our quick thinking, impromptu speaking, enhances clarity, conciseness, and listening skills. And so table topics are best when they have a clear beginning, middle, and end, just like a regular speech. And we've got 1 to 2 minutes, and I'll be going around the room asking folks a question. So riffing on our topic of fear, what is one fear that you have overcome and how did you do it? Andrew.
Well, thank you, Teresa. Well, thank you very much for asking me this question about overcoming fear. It's an excellent question to answer because the first thing comes into my mind is overcoming fear of public speaking. And yes, aren't we all here for one simple reason? We all were scared at one point in our lives, and then we just did it anyways. It's one of the things that I can say I'm still managing. And as one of our speakers, Graham, put it, is still there. Even during the table topics, when I think after 4 years with Toastmasters and practicing table topics, I can answer any of them just like that. However, we all know that fear that crumbles into you when you haven't got an idea on how to answer that question. And then you just wing it. Because we are experienced Toastmasters and we can talk about overcoming fears on and on and on. At the same time, wrapping up to what I want to say is that every day when I wake up, I overcome a little fear of my son not brushing his teeth. Or every day when I wake up, I overcome the fear that the milk in the fridge went off. However, I surprisingly find more and more often those things they're just not true. They're in my mind, in my imagination. Probably as many fears in our life. Well, I'm happy to say that at least public speaking is not one of them. At least not right now. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Wonderful. And I am curious for my next question, what's the most unexpected lesson you've learned from your fear? I think fear has a lot to teach us, both in honoring its role as trying to be a protector, but then also overcoming it. Elena, I think you've got some really good experience on this.
Yes. Well, even though all my adventures, the motorcycle for me, it was one was my biggest fear. I know I overcome it because I had a big accident in a motorcycle. After that, I stopped. But one day, one friend of mine have a big motorcycle and said, I have to overcome this. I can do it. And I said, okay, I will ride with you in the motorcycle. And you know the experience, I said, wow, I can do it again. And the experience is good because it's like you reach and you overcome a pitfall that prevent you to gain new experience. For me, you know, everything that is adventure is nice. But in this moment, I saw that I can again to practice anything that for me could be a fear. When I practiced karate, it's what it's saying. I had a lot of fear about the heat. The sun what hit me. But even though I overcome all this, I saw, oh, hey, if I can to manage my mind, to connect my body, I can do many things. So I think that my experience is that overcoming your fears is like you evolve as a person because you are realize that you can do more than you think that you will able to do.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. And I'm also, so when it comes to fear of speaking, I'm wondering, have you ever experienced stage fright? And how did you handle that? I had my first big talk in front of 3,000 people. And I remember walking on stage as they're introducing me thinking, no matter how badly this goes, I promise I won't kill myself. So I'm curious, how do you handle stage fright? Marianne?
Thank you for that question. And I am telling you that the first time I walked into Princeton Toastmasters in New Jersey, I was watching them and being like, holy cow, I could never do this. And I truly, when I signed up to do my icebreaker, I thought I was going to be sick. I was just so upset by this situation. And when I heard them introduce me, and I took that long walk to the front of the room, I gave my speech, and I didn't really do great, but I got through it. And when I did it, all I can say, it was like the adrenaline just dropped out of me. And when I was going back to my seat, I felt like I was going to faint and that no one in this room would really know who I was. So I was really worried about this. And I finally got to my chair and I just sat like, ah. And honestly, when fear happens, you just have to do it and get through it. And that's what I did. And that's what I continue to do. And I try and adopt a positive attitude when I'm doing things that are hard. But that's it. It's pretty simple. Just face your fears. Back to you, Teresa.
Thank you so much. I'm in the process of getting my reps in so I can get over it as well. So I'm curious, what's the most challenging aspect of public speaking for you? Like, what is it? Like, what are you really afraid of? And how do you manage it? Samuel, you want to take that one?
Sure. Thanks so much for the question. So there's a lot of things that I find challenging with public speaking. But I find that the biggest challenge for me is embracing the perception of others. I find that if I make a mistake, others will judge me very harshly. So there's other challenges I face, but I find that's the biggest one. So I'll give you a story. I'll give you a little background. Just back in December, prior to started my attendance at this club, I was in Zurich, Switzerland, on a business trip. And the CEO of my company introduced me to over 200 people as an expert in my field, finance expert. And he called upon me to present a topic, a very technical topic in that meeting. And it was a town hall. It was my breakthrough with the company. And I found that I was so nervous. And the nervousness, the source of that nervousness was actually coming from how I perceive others will embrace my message and embrace my delivery of that message. And afterwards, I reflected on that message, on my delivery, on my performance per se. And I was so harsh and so critical of myself. And that's something that I continue to try my very best to circumvent the perception of others, try to circumvent and maybe focus more on my delivery and influencing others with my presentation. So back to you, Adam. Topic message.
Well, there's the inner critic, and then there's things that go wrong as a result of being on stage. I'm curious, can you describe a time when a speech didn't go as planned? And how did you recover? Jim, I bet you got a good story for that.
Did you say Jim or Kim?
Yeah, Jim.
Ah, okay. Madam Topics Master. Well, probably the worst experience I ever had. It was a paid speaking engagement. I was thrilled that somebody actually wanted to pay me money to come and speak to them. I came down with an infection in my elbow a few days before, and the doctor put me on antibiotics. So I wasn't feeling especially well, but the antibiotics, I had a reaction to them. So that I started in my presentation. I wasn't feeling great, but I was gonna tough through it. I can do this. I got 5 minutes into my presentation and completely forgot what I was doing. I couldn't have told you the name of the group that I was speaking to. I had no idea what I was there to talk about, nothing. So, bless you, Toastmasters, and bless you, Madam Topics Master. I went into table topics mode and I just started talking. Anything that came to mind, I would talk about it. And everybody was thrilled. Everybody was fine with that. I was keeping them entertained. It was an after luncheon thing. So everybody was happy just to not fall asleep. But I panicked after about 30 minutes because I not only couldn't remember what I was supposed to talk about, I couldn't remember what I had talked about. And I was so afraid that I was going to start repeating myself and telling them a story that I had just told them 10 minutes before. So I cut it short. I was supposed to speak for close to an hour. I spoke for about 35 or 40 minutes. And that was the best that I could do. The meeting planner asked for part of their money back after it was over. And that was probably the worst experience that I ever had, but I lived through it. So I learned a valuable lesson there, I guess. Madam Topics Master.
So what is the lesson? Would you take the drugs again or no?
No, I think the lesson would be just do the best you can, and sometimes the magic works and sometimes it doesn't. But just do what you can.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. So I'm curious, has fear ever got the best of you and stopped you from something you really wanted to do? I challenged my friends one time to go bungee jumping, and they had me all bound up with my feet, and I'm standing on the platform ready to go over, and I'm like, oh, wait, I don't know how to do this. Anybody else have an experience like that where they just don't know and fear got the best of them? Sunny, I'm curious. Has fear ever got the best of you?
I laugh as you say that. About 2 years ago, my family and I were in Aruba and we went on a boat trip and we were going scuba diving, but very shallow waters, close to the land so that we could see the pretty fishes. I had my equipment on and all of a sudden I started hyperventilating as I got closer to walking down the steps of the boat. Mind you, there were people to hold your hand and get you there. I think if I didn't have it on, I put the cover over my face. And there's video of this as well. And when I got in the water, I started swimming just a little bit. And then I turned around real quick and ran back, well, pedaled back to safety. And I just couldn't finish it. And usually I'm the one who's going to say, go ahead, you can do it, whether you think you can or can't, either way, you're right. This was one time that I wish I could do it again. But the nice thing about it is that nobody got hurt We still got a chance to eat, and all my niece and my sister, my husband, they all got in the water. But that's just a fear that I'm working on. And as a matter of fact, when I said I swam, it's just that I think I swam, because if I stop paddling, I don't think I really can swim. And I am taking lessons at the YMCA in my neighborhood. Yay me, right? After all these years. Face my fear. Instead of forgetting everything and running, this time I'm going to face everything and rise. And then I can face everything and relax. Back to you.
As I recall, you like to take tropical vacation trips, so I have a feeling there's another one coming up here soon.
Hawaii, hopefully Hawaii.
That's amazing. Carolina, thank you everybody for the talk. Carolina, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for your questions. Miss Timer, is everyone qualified to be voted?
Yes, everyone.
Awesome. Congratulations to the speakers. The next section is for everyone. It's time to receive feedback. Please help me welcome our general evaluator of today, Sally Fried.
Funny, Graham. I think I swam. Or as Dora would say, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So let's go. Let's keep everything swimming, everyone. Now it's time for our paycheck. We get a chance to practice our listening skills and evaluation so we can face that fear and do it anyway. I love what Marianne Grady said. You've got to get through it, you've got to do it. So I'm ready to do this. I will begin with the evaluation portion with the prepared speech evaluators. Our first speech evaluator is Marianne Grady. She will be evaluating Elena Sandoval. Please help me welcome her to the virtual stage.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Elena. Who is Elena? That's a great title because you certainly told us a lot about yourself, and I loved every minute of it. You have many natural strengths as a speaker. You're extremely expressive. Both your facial expressions and your hand gestures are so natural and really highlight your great enthusiasm for life. You also appear very comfortable on the screen, so no obvious fear. Your slides were quite illustrative of your life and all the different aspects of your life that you shared with us. You used many words and phrases that helped us engage further with your speech. You said, click, serenity coming over me, my medicine, connect soul, mind, and body. Most work in perfect synchronization. I loved all those phrases. You talked about so many things. Generally, in a shorter speech, it's a good idea to focus on 3 things. You talked about outdoor sports, sailing, canoeing, family, friends, biking, hiking, other cultures, and all are super interesting. But one suggestion I would have for you is to break it up a little bit and talk about some of those things in greater depth, but stick to no more than 3 topics for one speech, or at least a short speech. Now that you're a member, you're going to have lots of opportunities to talk about all these things, so we all will look forward to that. Now, a couple of minor language issues. One was know who really you are, and it should have been really know who you are. A suggestion also would be to rehearse and time yourself to keep on time, because you did run quite far over your time limit today. I loved, as you came to an end, that you talked about humans and how to treat them. I also loved how you referred to online presenters as your new adventure, and that you enjoy gaining knowledge all the time. You gave a fantastic icebreaker, mission accomplished, introducing yourself to the club. Your energy, wonderful speaking skills, and positive approach will be a welcome addition to this club. And I am super excited about your next speech. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Wow. Thank you so much for that helpful evaluation, Toastmaster Marian. And I was in a meeting the other day and I heard someone say that energy, and you just mentioned that if you got energy, you can set yourself apart from other speakers. So thank you for acknowledging that of our newest member. Our next evaluator is evaluating the speech of David Carr. Please help me welcome Jim Barber to the virtual stage. Jim.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, and of course, especially David Carr. David, you are an experienced and skilled technical presenter. I enjoy listening to you talk about you're explaining anything, especially of a technical nature. You can explain it in a way that we can understand it without your dumbing it down, without feeling like you're talking down to us. You explain things on a level with us. You are well structured in your presentation. You explain things very well. You don't go into excessive detail. You explain just enough to get us accomplish what you want to do very well. Everything works. My recommendation is that you were talking about RSVPMaker, but you basically didn't say that this is what we're talking about, RSVPMaker, until you were a minute or two into your presentation. And even there are probably people here who don't know what RSVPMaker is. And other than saying that it was a WordPress extension, which doesn't really tell us a whole lot, tell us a little bit about what RSVPMaker is. More importantly, why would somebody want to use RSVPMaker? What does it do that they can't do otherwise or can do only with great difficulty otherwise? Then explain basically why we should listen to your presentation. Because again, your presentation was great, but I've heard over and over again that people have about a 7-second attention span. And if you don't capture their attention in the first 7 seconds, then they begin to tune out and you have a hard time getting them back. You gave excellent material, but we didn't know from the beginning why we should listen to you, what the excellent material was going to be. So I would like to have heard that at the beginning, and I realized that you had a time constraint there. So you would have had to have taken something out. But this is so important, I think, at the beginning to have gone into more depth on what RSVPMaker is and what benefit it provides, and more specifically, what benefit you're going to give us in talking about RSVPMaker and the extensions, the enhancements that you've done to it. Put that at the beginning. Put a brief summary at the end of saying, I have done this, and you provide that. And this would make, again, a great technical presentation. It was already good. I would simply like to have a better lead into it, giving the benefits of it, and a little bit stronger summation at the end. But this was another great David Carr presentation, and I'm looking for the next one. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Jim Barber, for helping just to give the tip, man, more tips to make great evaluations, taking it from good to great. Now, ready to take on good to great is our evaluator number 3, Andrei Smolenko, who will be evaluating the speech of Graham Cairns. Welcome. Andrei, I just can't see you. Oh, there you are.
Thank you, Dr. Sunny, my fellow online presenters, and most importantly, Graham. Well, congratulations with a nearly unprepared speech. You are a great storyteller, and it's clear that you show it to us, and you show it in a really interesting way that we could all use for the next time when we are faced with impromptu speaking that we have to come up with straight away. You start your story with the past, of course, with your childhood, and the story could connect. You were given a subject for your speech just a few minutes before your speech, and it was about overcoming your fears. And a great time to start your childhood. You gave a few examples, riding a push bike and how you felt. And then you transported us into another part of your life, 10 years after that event, when you were listening to the song and quite emotional, and you showed your emotions to us. It's always a difficult thing to do. However, you did it, and I salute you. Again, you crafted smoothly into the main idea of your speech. That was, to me, is we cannot fight with fears in our life. We cannot overcome them, but we can try to deal with them, and we can try to dance with them, as one of my mentors say. So dance with your fear. To me, that was the main and quite clear points of your speech. At the same time, your speech was should be more concentrated, as I understood, on vocal variety. And this is why I would like to suggest, in terms of vocal variety, perhaps you could bring more dialogues into your stories. A dialogue with your mom or dad in your childhood, or dialogue with your loved ones when you walk right on top of that glass ceiling on 300 meters high building, or a few more dialogues and stories that could, I think, open up more vocal variety ways and would bring us into this story as well. There is another recommendation I would like to make. It's about bringing my hero into the personal story. By bringing your heroes in your life, some role models, for example, it could be someone famous, or it could be just an ordinary person in your life who show you the way, who gave you the better understanding on how to overcome fears. Overall, Graham, that was that great speech with a few little suggestions, and I hope that will take it right next to the next level. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Andre, for that great evaluation. And each one of you did a great job, because we not only listened for your tips to each of our speakers, but we all get a chance to learn. So I appreciate that. We are running out of time. I'm not fearful. However, I want to know from our timer, did all of our speech evaluators make it?
Yes, they did.
All right, that is so good. Now I have facilitators. I could not do this meeting alone. Teamwork makes the dream work. In the interest of time, if you can make sure that you keep your report to under a minute, that would be great. First up, before I do that, Madam Vote Counter, no. So now we can all vote for the best speech evaluator. That is already in the chat. Now moving on, our first facilitator to help me out is grammarian Jim Barber. He is wearing several hats tonight. Jim.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Yes, indeedy. Let's see. Word of the day. As far as I could tell, everybody used the word of the day. Congratulations. Let's see, and I was focusing on our speakers, and a couple of comments here. Elena had some great uses of grammar, talked about a deep connection to the natural world, immersed into the ocean, that sort of thing. But the one that I want to focus on, this is going to be controversial. I'm sure some people here are going to disagree with me, but at one point she was listing unimportant items, and she simply said blah, blah, blah. Went on like that. Personally, I like that. I think blah, blah, blah is very descriptive. It describes very nicely that this is something that's unimportant. Great. Don't overuse it, but use that one time. I thought it was wonderful. I like that. And let's see, Graham. Graham, also, of course, he just has a wonderful thing of all the different things. My tongue took on the characteristics of a whale's fluke. Wonderfully descriptive phrases, but the one that I really liked was a very short, simple phrase. He said, and it terrified me. 4 simple words. If he had elaborated on that, it wouldn't have been nearly as powerful as simply, and it terrified me. Well done. Madam General Evaluator.
Blah, blah, blah. Take a look. As a matter of fact, if we look at Dave Carr's background, it's now time for a background check and lots more by our watcher, Samuel. Please help me welcome Samuel.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Just a few comments. Overall, everyone was well presented visually. Just a few minor comments. So, Kim, sometimes your visual was blurry. I'm not sure if you're having some audio issues, but sometimes you're kind of blurry. You're in and out. Carolina, I'm not sure you could have avoided this, but your audio was also in and out. That's just probably something to do with your internet connection. And Sherry Blake as timer, I'm not sure if Sherry's still here. Yeah, you're still here, Sherry, but sometimes your hand was up. I'm not sure if that's because you were timer, but it kind of distracted. Oh, okay, perfect. So, very good. And then Mr. President Dave Carr, I feel sometimes you're too close to the screen. So if you look at, say, Jim Barber as an example, he's a little bit back and he's well presented. Sometimes you're just like too close, in my view. Just back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that great background check, Samuel. Now it's time for the Wizard of Oz to tell us how we did with those pesky filler words and sounds. Go for it, our counter Joni.
Thank you, our General Evaluator. Now, I know that it's David's greatest fear that he will be the Wizard of Oz, but let me just state he got a reprieve today. But he and Teresa had well and so's, and today was called the meeting of body parts because Andrew talked about his arm, and there was a lot of butts being thrown around by a few of our members. I do have to nod, though, as the account of that. Though Jim said it, we had some good examples of uses of crutch words. Graham gave a good example of the power of the pause, and Marianne's emphasis on so are crutch words, but they did work out very wonderfully in the speech as a highlight. And Jim stole my other for my Wizard of Oz today. Now, in case we do not know who our Wizard of Oz is based on that reference, our Wizard of Oz today is Toastmaster Elena. That's because not only did she do but she did but. And again, as the body part meeting, she is our Wizard of Oz. Back to you, our General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now let's welcome our chat monitor, Kim Leaning. Kim.
Hi, thank you very much. So as you can see what Samuel pointed out, I am having a major fear of mine, which is the fear of technology. And I have been blurring this whole night. I do not know why. I'm changing the lighting, can't figure it out. So the chat was relatively quiet. Everybody congratulate our new members, Elena and Samuel. That was wonderful. Another one of our new members, Teresa, used the chat to ask questions about the timing and whether she could do more table topics. That was an excellent use of it. And by the way, Teresa, awesome table topics. Great way to start out your first time with table topics. And then Graham did his obligatory dad joke in the chat when he said, I think I swam about Sunny's table topics. And then just lastly, my biggest fear is choking while talking on online present. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. So back to you, General Evaluator, Sunny.
All right, thank you so much for that chat. Now, overall meeting, we had a great meeting. Thank you, Kim, for just mentioning some of the things that I would have said about our overall meeting. Table topics masters, great speakers, people stepping up to the plate. Hopefully we will figure out what our roles will be for next week so we don't always have to worry about having that fear of filling in on the day of the meeting. Now our vote counter, Carolina, will announce the winners of the meeting. Is that still under me?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this.
The winners are Best Evaluator, Andriy Smolenko. Best table topics speaker, Jim Barber.
Woo!
And best speaker, Graham Cairns. Congratulations to the winners.
Thank you, winners. Thank you, vote counter, Toastmaster of the Day. I will return this meeting now to our Toastmaster of the Day, Carolina, I believe.
Thank you very much, Sunny, for your intervention in this meeting. Yes, fear is not a pleasant feeling, but you can use it as gasoline to achieve great things. Saying this, I pass the meeting to our president to close it, David.
Thank you, Carolina. Great job tonight. Hey, I want to say a kind word to Treka, who reached out to me to ask, when do I come on as Topics Master? And the real answer was, I don't exactly know. I know approximately, but the more important part is to try and wrap up by a certain time that we have in the agenda so that there's time for the general evaluator and for us to end our meeting on time, which we're doing just about perfectly right now. In fact, we can stop the recording when we get a chance to do that. But that's the answer. If we only had 2 speakers